What's up, everybody? Coach Ben here with Jim. 2021, Jim. We're back. It's been a while. Real quick, if anybody thinks I sound weird and the left side of my face isn't moving, I had some dental surgery. And I'm on not Vicodin, but the other thing, Tylenol with codeine. So if I sound weird, it's all good. I'm still here. How are you doing, Jim?
I'm doing well, but apparently not as well as you. You're probably feeling pretty good right about now.
I need to take another pill, but yeah, you got to be careful with those things too. But yeah.
And speaking of being careful, you mentioned the new year,
Yep.
and I feel a little trepidation when I say this. When I say Happy 2021, but one of my buddies they broke it down to me. Don't say it that way, because you sound like you say 2021, WON. 2021.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Dork humor. I didn't say it. Someone else said. I thought, oh man, that's
How do you
scary
say
thought.
it then? How do you say it then?
I don't know.
2020. Well, how do you say it?
I don't know.
2020
English. We need to revamp the English language.
Okay. Well,
But-
anyway, go ahead.
It's a new year, and a lot of people are saying "New Year, New You," and that's all fine and dandy. But to create the new you, it starts with goal setting. So we're going to talk about a little bit about goal setting today. Yes.
Yep.
All right, Coach, bring us in.
Okay. I guess we can start by just talking about our own goals and what goals, you should have, and, how you keep these goals. And I'm not a life coach or anything, or an expert on motivation or any of these things. Okay?
We're speaking of life experiences,
exactly.
our own life.
I'm a performance coach, generally strength conditioning coach, jiu-jitsu, nutrition. But I do know what kind of things work in the long term, right? And really it's just about consistency and, doing enough where you could continuously, do whatever it is to get you to your goal, right? So it's like jiu-jitsu. If you were to train 15 times in one day, you probably couldn't train the next few days. It's counterproductive. Just like if you had a new goal, and the common advice is to just start. If you need to remember to floss your teeth, brush, then floss, 2 or 3 teeth, and then you've already started. You got to finish. So those are kind of things that we can talk about later. But my goals. I have to rebuild my business. So that's one of the goals. I don't know where everybody lives, but me and Jim are in California, Southern California. So we are in the middle of what is probably still considered a lockdown. You just got the emergency thing to stay at home. My business can only operate outdoors. So much of my 2021 is going to be building my academy back from we're at like 50 members probably or less. And when you need to get back to like a feasible number, right? And I think many jiu-jitsu academies are going to be like that, right? My other goals, let's just talk about jiu-jitsu and not, business. My goals for jiu-jitsu are the following. One, it's always to grow the sport. It's good for me, good for you, good for promoters, good for matchmakers, good for events, good for people if the sport grows, right? So my way of doing that is through sports betting. You guys know that I'm the sports betting odds maker, grappling odds maker for BetDSI and some of these other promotions as well, some of these sports books. So that's one of my goals, is to continue pushing that. And I think it's growing, and I think it's gonna do well. The second one, this is more of a technical thing in jiu-jitsu, is specifically for jiu-jitsu, I want to work on my guard. Okay, my guard retention and my guard. Okay, this is something that I've realized over time training jiu-jitsu for pure jiu-jitsu. I'm not talking about MMA right now, but pure jiu-jitsu for over 15 years. Very few people understand how to retain guard, and I'm talking black belts. And teaching it is even harder. So one of the things that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to watch a lot of high level competition. I'm going through a lot of these instructionals from Lachlan Giles and Danaher and some of these other people about retaining guard, and that's just one of my goals. I've always felt that my guard needed work, and I don't think I'm the only one. I think everybody could improve their guard retention, because when I see high level competitors, their game starts with their guard retention, at least guard players. You can't pass their guard. That's why they're able to do these fancy moves, worm and the thing and the, collar sleeve, and then you're tangled up. It's very hard to learn guard retention because it's not a system. You can't say, okay, you're in side control, you're going to put the arm here, and then you're going to lift, and then they're submitted. It's not like teaching, an Americana or a rear naked choke where it's, first of all, you're in good position. So what you're doing is kind of easier. You have leverage. But you can step by step do these things, right? When it comes to guard retention, it's almost completely reactionary. Okay, so you have to learn how to do this through experience and through heuristic, right? So things like like not shrimping at the wrong time. I'll just give one example. We were always taught, and this is not any fault to any of our instructors, it's just how it's taught. Shrimping is a big part of the guard, right? Sure. Nowadays, the high level guys, they're not shrimping. If you're watching these guys, they're not shrimping, at least unless the person is past their legs, right? So knee on belly, side control, you have to shrimp. But mount, you have to shrimp. But if you watch the meows, or if you watch somebody with extremely high level guard retention, they don't shrimp, right? They're always on the small of their back, and they're spinning and they're framing, and they're able to kind of almost like they're like a top, So that's one thing. That's my jiu-jitsu goal, is I want to work on my guard, and I want to work on teaching guard retention to my students in a way that I wasn't taught, and it's not the fault of my instructors or anything. It's just something that's very difficult to teach. It takes skill as a coach.
Well, especially in light of the evolution that you just brought up, that the game has evolved over especially the last 3 years. It seems like it's been turbocharged with the focus, the emphasis on video instruction.
Well, let's say 5 or 6 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. 5 or 6 years ago, 10 years ago, let's just 10 years ago, right? You could not find any information on even, instructionals, YouTube. I couldn't find any real information on how high-level guys were retaining guard. And this is something I've noticed as an athletic coach, strength coach over time. A lot of the high-level guys, the talented athletes, you can't learn what they're doing from them. They don't know what they're doing. They're too talented. So, I had to watch a lot of the Mendes brothers back in the day just to understand the idea of self-framing. You know what I mean by self-framing, like framing your knees so that you don't get, turn your hips the other way. That's an example of something I was never taught that, and I had to learn that through watching competitors. But now there are actual instructionals, and people are actually understanding that. So evolution is coming, and I think eventually somebody will have a system for guard retention. But for now, at least for me, I'm still just tinkering, coming up with my own heuristics, and listening to people that better instructors than me right now. Like Lachlan and John and Mike Musumesi, people like that. So that's my jiu-jitsu goal. What about you, Jim?
Yeah, we're talking about keeping it jiu-jitsu goal-oriented. Mine is a little, I guess, unorthodox in that I haven't been rolling. I haven't been spending too much mat time, but jiu-jitsu has still been my focus. Okay. And my goal is to be prepared for the return to the mats. Correct. And what I mean by that is, making sure my immune system's on point, and making sure my, what I put into my dietary decisions are sound, and getting my body, making sure my body doesn't fall too far out of shape. I mentioned to you right before we started this thing, I took to bike riding again. Okay. So I dusted off the bike, slapped some oil on that chain, and gone for a couple rides. I kicked my butt for sure, but that's the idea of, I want to get into the same weight class I was when I was competing, just so when we get this green light and the world returns back to normal, I want to be prepared for it.
There's something about bike riding, too, that I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's an answer, but I don't know what it is about bike riding. But there's a lot of very, very elite athletes that swear by bike riding. And fighters, I see Marvin Vittori is always on his bike. He's Italian, maybe that has something to do with it. But LeBron James is famous for riding his bike a lot. I'm not sure if he still does it, but that's something that he talked about in the past, is he would do it for conditioning.
But yeah, I mean, in Javi, I mean, if anyone has
Javi Vasquez,
Javier Vasquez, if anyone has ever followed his Instagram, he's posting his rides. Like just the other morning, he just broke out in his morning a 50-mile ride, a 48-mile ride.
Yeah.
And if you look at him, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, he just defeated cancer. You know, knock on wood. Hopefully, everything still retains. But the dude's getting after it. He's absolutely shredded right now. He's shredded. And putting in these 50-mile bike rides and, you know, talking to him, he swears by it. He's all, I got to get my biking in, to your point.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And, you know, just getting back on the bike. It used to be my main method of transportation for quite some time. And to get back on it now, after all these years, you know, they say it's like riding a bike, right?
Can I tell you something about riding a bike too, Jim? I don't know why I have this, but I have a phobia of riding a bike. Not that I can't ride a bike. It's like I don't trust people on the street running my ass over. Plus, I don't trust myself not falling and eating shit when I'm going 50 miles an hour.
So let me stop you right there. Okay. You say phobia. So let's look at the meaning of phobia. An unreasonable fear of something.
Right.
That, my friend, is not unreasonable.
Okay.
There are some psychotic drivers out there.
I guess the phobia is just that, like, it is a fear, but some people don't have this fear.
It shouldn't keep you from riding a bike.
It shouldn't keep me from doing it, but it keeps me from doing it. You know, I don't do it because I'm like, first of all, we're not in the greatest place in the world to be riding a bike. This is not. There's not like trails everywhere. This is one of the worst places to
right
ride
now. People
in
New York are laughing at your statement.
Yeah,
because it's psychotic over there riding bikes.
No, sure. But I mean seriously, California is one of the worst places. At least, you know, closer to the city to ride a bike, just because there's it's not like the beach. You know, I think people in Santa Monica, in Orange County, in San Diego, I think they have a lot more open space. We are, you know, I'm freaked out driving a car. I'm freaked out walking on the side of the road sometimes. You know, so anyway, that's just, you know, just my phobia. But if you want to ride a bike, great. I prefer running. You know, I think running is great. Costs no money, but it's
that's right.
You know,
that's right.
Physical activity is great.
Just a knee reconstruction.
Yeah,
hip
one of my brown belts likes to rock climb. You know, he's on the East Coast. He likes to. I see him rock climbing all the time. I feel like that's a great thing.
So listen to all these things we're talking about, and this is always kind of a common thread within the jiu-jitsu community, especially if you're a competitor, because those guys are psychotic on how they prepare. But all of these things we're talking about, rock climbing, we're talking about bike riding, running, so on and so forth. And what I talked about, my dietary decisions. I mean, I'm doing a lot more home cooking now because the restaurants are all closed up, right? I mean, these are good things, right? Yeah. These are good things. But for me, and I think a lot of our audience, it's in the name of jiu-jitsu. It's like, what can we do to help our jiu-jitsu? And even though this stuff is not jiu-jitsu, it's still jiu-jitsu for us, right? And I think now's a prime opportunity for a lot of people who are affected by these lockdowns, because there are some other states that they're not experiencing the same experience we are. Now's a good opportunity to really just kind of think out the box.
Yeah, we're not even in the most severe. Like, my academy's still open outdoors, but there's places in the UK, for example, or I think Australia, when they were in the lockdown, where you couldn't leave your house, like, for real. You can't leave your house. So it's not like you could even train if you wanted to. So you had to have a secondary option, right? So this is why, you know, we give these options. You're doing bike riding. I'm still kind of doing jiu-jitsu, so I haven't really added some, but something that I would do if I couldn't train jiu-jitsu, if I didn't run a business. Rock climbing for sure, you know, more lifting.
And you're an avid lifter just anyway, yeah?
I usually am, but I've gotten fat and lazy.
Sloppy.
You know,
it's the holidays. New year, new you.
It's tough, man. It's tough to run a business, teach students, keep yourself in shape, train jiu-jitsu, and also live. I don't want to make excuses, but it's just I have 2 kids. It's rough. You know, it's rough. I understand now, and I never ever criticize people for you know, not putting the time to work on their own health if they're working on their family or they're working on their business. Another thing why I like rock climbing, and something that I've kind of, you know, weirdly enough on this show, we give little tips randomly, but rock climbing makes you develop an open-handed grip. And you've been rock climbing before, Jim?
Yes, but
Okay.
the type of rock climbing I've done, I wouldn't necessarily like.
Right. You're in the military.
It's more.
Yeah.
Well, it's more recreational too.
Right.
There's a place where I grew up called Stony Point. We used to go and play on it, but
Right.
you know,
Doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is that when you're rock climbing, you develop an open grip.
yeah, that
right?
monkey grip.
That
right?
monkey. Well, it's beyond a monkey. Yeah, it is a monkey grip, but it's like beyond. It's the way that your hand
the
grips.
weight distribution.
Right. And this is something, you're not going to get this kind of these tips from most podcasts, because I'm strength coach. So I notice my best students and I notice the best grippers, right? How they grip things naturally. They open hand grip naturally. I have one of my students named CJ. He's a good athlete. He was I think he told me he's a cross country athlete in
Plays
college.
basketball too.
Plays basketball a lot. He's active, but this guy, there's something about him that is not like a normal student, where you come in and this guy just he gives me problems rolling with him, and he's a blue belt. He probably have to move him up soon, but he just has like something, right? And one of the things he has is a crazy grip. And I always was like, man, this guy's grip, what is he doing different? So I probably should have learned this sooner, but better now than never, is the best grippers I see have an open grip, meaning that they're not grabbing a fist full of cloth. They're grabbing almost like this. You see the difference between this and this?
Yes.
This is a stronger grip.
So when you're making a full fist for the
Right.
people not watching, one's a full traditional fist, and the other one's kind of like a half fist where you're just curling your fingers but keeping the palm open.
It's an open grip. In rock climbing, it's the same as an open grip. But why this is strong is because you can engage your extensor tendons on the top of your hand. So if you do that real quick, Jim, you can see how these extensor tendons kind of protrude, right?
Yeah.
Now close your fist, although you see how they become smooth.
Yeah, they disappear.
You're using different muscles, or actually,
point.
you're not only using different muscles, you're using a different mechanism.
Yeah, mechanics. Yeah,
Right. So
sure.
when I started open gripping, believe it or not, a lot of my finger, discomfort went away. I wouldn't say instantly, but it has been improving, rapidly, like to the point where I don't have an extreme, finger discomfort. So anyway, that was just one benefit of rock climbing and working on open-handed grips.
And a side note about that. In fact, there's an article that's posted on the site that there was a study that links a strong grip is a better indicator of heart health.
Yep, mortality.
Than mortality. Yes, than blood pressure. Go
Yeah.
figure. Now they don't know if that's concrete. It's a theory. That they have made a connection to, but a lot of it could be because people with strong grips tend to be more active.
Yeah, it's also blood flow. I think if you have poor blood flow, poor circulation,
your appendages.
I don't
suffer,
think.
right?
Yeah, you don't. Your grip strength is generally weak because there's just there's not the nutrients aren't. I'm not really sure the exact reason, but that there's definitely a correlation that if I looked into it and researched, I could probably give a definite answer or a theoretical answer. All right, so that we talked about what activities we can do during, like, say, a lockdown that's not jiu-jitsu, right? What about jiu-jitsu? Like, if you really wanted to train and let's say they prepare for a competition in May,
go underground.
Would you train?
I'd have to go underground, find an academy with the taped up windows, and
that's how it is, man.
And find some people that are semi-responsible. So
that's how it is, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely. I drive by other jiu-jitsu academies just on my way home sometimes, and it's all board.
Strength and conditioning outfits.
It's all just what is the cardboard colored paper on the window, and then they're secretly open. Yeah. You got to do what you got to do. There was places actually in the next city down that literally have no give a f's about it. They'll be in there, no mask, kids class, everybody's no mask. They're 2 inches away from each other. I don't recommend that, but
don't recommend it. But I'm all for free will.
What can you say, right? Like I'm not gonna.
Someone makes a choice to go into these academies.
You're making the choice.
And I think, hey, if you make the choice, then so be it. I'm neither here nor there.
Yeah, me too. I'm for personal,
liberties.
Yeah. All right, let's talk real quick.
So sticking goals.
Yeah. Oh,
wait, we're still
trends. We got to talk about the trends.
Oh, okay.
So we talked about goals already. We got your goal. Work on.
I just want to add.
Okay.
Keep a journal.
Keep a journal.
Keep a journal. Write it down. Keep a journal so you can track your progress towards these goals. Because once you can look at it on paper, it'll motivate and inspire you to keep working.
You know what works for me, Jim, is I can't keep a journal, like an actual physical journal. I'm just too unorganized and messy. I just keep my notepad. My notepad has like 1,500 notes, and
scattered, right?
Scattered.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? One day I might organize myself, but that's just how the brain works.
Yeah.
My room is messy. My brain it's just something.
But you know where everything is, though, right? Organized chaos.
It's organized chaos. I get shit done.
There you go.
Sometimes it's rough, but it's a flaw that maybe this year I got to make that a new goal. Organization. All right, let's talk about the next topic, which is what do we expect this year in jiu-jitsu as far as the trends? Because I'm always big on just growing the sport in general, but what should we be focusing on, right? So if let's say certain aspects of jiu-jitsu, they're not trending, you can work on it, but you can focus on it, but you kind of want to stick to certain trends just to as far as competition, as far as the game, as far as the style, right? So let's start broadly. Broadly, I think in 2021, based on what I saw last year, that no gi is going to be a trend, as in more and more people will be gravitating toward pure no gi. And you've seen this already with many competitors.
Yeah.
Many competitors, they don't do gi anymore. Why? There's many reasons for this, I think, but generally the big spectator-friendly shows, also the ones that you can bet on, are no gi, right? ADCC, right? ADCC is kind of like an outlier because it's like the big show.
Well, it is. Yeah, it's no gi.
Yeah. But certain shows like Fight to Win, they will have gi, right?
They're hybrids, yeah.
They're hybrids. But let's keep it real. A lot of the biggest matches in Fight to Win are the no-gi matches.
Yeah, and this is, I think it's interesting that you mentioned it because I think this has it's been a slow burn, right? I think this has slowly been the case, but now due to the constraints and there are fewer events and fewer things, they just want to focus on the most dynamic, which
also the disappearance of a lot of tournaments, right? Yeah. Most tournaments, because gi is not as spectator friendly, it may never be, to be honest. It really might never be. Eddie Bravo has said that you can't watch the gi. To a certain degree, I agree with him, because let's just think about it, right? The World Championships, right? I watch it every year, but man, sometimes you sit through a long 2 days. It's
right.
it's like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. just to watch the quarterfinals of all the divisions. I mean, not everybody has that time, and that's definitely not spectator friendly.
Just by nature, it's a slower game. Sometimes much slower.
Right. Even now I'm not even talking about the actual
action.
The action. I'm talking about just how long it takes to absorb the content. Even Fight to Win, right? We work with Seth. It's like a 6-hour show sometimes, right? Even that, I'm telling you, there's not a lot of people who watch the whole 6 hours like throughout, right? You're not sitting there glued to the TV. You're moving around, when people you want to see come on, unless you're betting. If you're betting, maybe you're watching everything. But
but even the lines are set on the main card.
Right.
The main card of the Fight to Win
the
card.
The main lines are all main events.
Right.
Main card. Other than that, we have these other shows that are also kind of gravitated toward no-gi. Obviously, Submission Underground. I don't know the numbers, but I think Submission Underground is probably one of the biggest shows based on the fact that it's on Fight Pass and based on the fact that when they post stuff on social media, I see the engagement. It's very high.
Yeah, and Chael is such an ambassador for the
Chael.
arts. I mean, MMA and jiu-jitsu at this point. I mean,
plus Chael, plus UFC, plus fighters from the UFC, from Bellator.
And just as a content creator himself, every day he's in front of the camera, he's talking about things. How does it not grow,
Yeah. Submission Underground actually used to have gi matches, but they've kind of moved away from it. Third Coast Grappling has
fastest growing.
Yeah, they have gi. Mm-hmm. Combat Jiu Jitsu is obviously no gi. Right? Eddie Bravo's show, also with slaps. Polaris, Kasai, I would say they're gravitating toward no-gi. Even the last Kasai, I think, was no-gi, right? But either way, I remember most of the memorable matches I've seen in Kasai. They have like a kind of a funky round robin tournament format when they do the kind of like the tournaments there, the invite only tournaments. The memorable matches I've seen were all no-gi. So anyway, point is, one of the trends that I see is this no-gi explosion. And
you know what? That's a good point, Coach. I think it's happening.
It's happening. Look at BJJ Fanatics, right? Look at their website. Most of their products are no-gi. You know, it's just the gi. So what am I saying here? Am I happy about it? No.
Is what it is.
It is what it is. You know, I'm a primary gi player. You know, I think I'm better in the gi than I am no gi. So you know, it's almost like I'm going to have to give up a little bit of my skill to change with the trend. But I plan on doing that. You know, I plan on adding more no gi classes to my academy. I plan on focusing a little more on the no gi game. I think it's a little more exciting and more explosive. And
as far as when it comes to practicing, those are my children. It's like I love them both and I respect them both for what they are. But when it comes to spectator, let's be real.
Let's be real.
I think. I mean, I can get in. Don't get me wrong. We can get into gi matches, especially when there's some nice lapel work going on. Like, ooh, what's going on here? But all in all, just when I'm not, man, no.
There's a bigger chance for a stalemate when there's two very high level guys in the gi. Yeah. There's just a better chance.
Agree.
You know, like when have you seen? You know, I have seen some boring matches with somebody like Craig Jones, but it's rare. You know, it's like, you know.
Well, it could happen when someone's too afraid to engage. And you could see some of these competitors when they're trying to game the system. They're not trying to engage and they're just going for the overtime.
But they'll never win, you know, so they'll never win against somebody like Craig. So the thing is, but in the gi, you could do one of these, you know, stalling tactics and end up coming up on the top and winning. You know, I hate to say that's not good for the sport because winning is winning, but it's not good for.
It's not good.
It's not.
That's
good
my
for,
humble opinion.
It's not good for the growth of the sport because you have too much criticism. It's gonna, you know, it just spreads like wildfire, right? Somebody thinks it's not cool, it's boring. Their friend thinks it's not cool. Next thing you know, nobody likes it, nobody watches it.
Yeah.
Right. So. Anyway, that's one of the trends is the Nogi Explosion that I think is going to happen. Plus, this is ADCC trials year, right? ADCC was postponed to 2022, so this year we'll have all the trials. I think they're going to make the trials like big, you know, events too.
Let me ask you this, Coach. What do you think about, speaking of trends and everything, do you think there is going to be more separation between the Superfight format as opposed to the tournament format?
I think there's already a huge separation, but yes.
So you think it's going to gain steam, the super fight format, aka the fight to wins?
You know, I had a conversation with my friend Alex. He's a strength coach at Atos, and he said something that it kind of illuminated to me, okay, maybe there is a future for gi tournaments. And I told him, I was like, look, I think this no gi, you know, these shows, ADCC, fight to win, submission, they're going to all take away the tournaments, you know, because fighters are getting paid somewhat, but they're getting way broader exposure. You know, who's watching, you know, the purple belt, you know, finals in the world? It's not that many people, man. But if you are on fight to win and you're in the main event or something, and you're in submission underground, I guarantee you're getting a little more exposure than flow grapplings, you know, 18 screens, and you have to click on that one just to find. It's crazy.
I do like the EBI, or the combat jiu-jitsu format, to where you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You get these marquee matchups, but you also get a tournament in one night.
That's ADCC too, by the way.
Oh
ADCC
and
format.
Of course.
Yeah, let me. What I was saying about that was my friend Alex basically said, you know why these tournaments are still alive? Mainly they're money generators, but they survive not paying the athletes because the athletes have sponsors. So let's say an athlete has a gi sponsor, they might have an incentive, right? You hit the podium, you get $500. You hit first, you get $800. Something, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Probably not that much, but that kind of keeps. Plus, they're sent to these tournaments, they're paid for, and all that stuff, and so there's like a little bit of an incentive to continue this, which I don't know how long that can last, because if now the sport as a whole is kind of shutting down because of the COVID, now you notice that a lot of these tournaments, there's nobody doing them. Like there's the last Pan Ams, Nogi Pan Ams. I didn't really see that many big names. I was like, this is, and some of that had to do with COVID.
Yeah,
but,
I think a lot of that had to do with COVID.
It's just. But then these big names will pop up on the next, Superfight show. So
that's a great point.
Why
man.
did that happen?
That's a great point.
So anyway, my idea would answer your question is I think that the gi tournaments will be around. They'll always be around. But man, I think the future, if jiu-jitsu wants to take it to that next level, there's two things that has to happen. One is it has to be spectator friendly. I mean, Eddie Bravo said this many years ago, and people probably thought he was crazy, but he actually was right. And then two is sports betting. It's just another aspect because anything that has sports betting behind it is like
you're going to attract casual folks that
beyond casual. They don't even have to be fans. That's why it's so important.
There's a broadened interest.
Yes, I don't give a crap about ping pong, right, or table tennis.
But you'll bet on it.
I'll bet that if somebody tells me, hey. Bet this, we have an edge, this guy's win for sure. I'm going to be like, all right, I'll bet it.
When you add that,
turn it on.
Yeah, when you add that element, you're merging cultures. Yeah. You really are merging cultures,
and that's the next step. There's so many people that they bet like basketball or football, and they'll just ask me. They'll be like, hey Ben, who you gonna bet on the UFC? I'll be like, what are you talking? You're a professional sports bettor. Why are you asking me questions? I'm also a professional sports bettor, but don't you know this? But no, they want to be in on the action. Yeah. And that's important, man. And then when I tell them who to bet, they always text me afterwards, and they're like, oh man, that was if they win or something, it's like, oh man, that was a great knockout. I didn't know you even watched UFC. I thought you were spending 2 hours a day researching basketball. So anyway, that's I think two of the next steps is sports betting and also spectatorship, and we need the regulation to hit California, but sports betting's coming.
All right, so what's our next item?
That's all we got right now. By the way, to finish the sports betting part, if you want to get in on the action, go to betdsi.eu and use the code.
Is there a promo code? Yeah, say that again. I spoke over it.
JJM.
All right.
Promo code JJM on BetDSI, our only sponsor.
So what we'll do, we will have a follow-up to this episode in December of this year to see which, or maybe this time in 2022, to see which of these trends look like they've panned out or not.
I would be very shocked if Nogi doesn't take it to the next level this year. I would be really shocked.
Yeah, we'll see. You know what? Especially because of the pandemic
and ADCC. Yeah.
ADCC already got pushed back though.
No, I'm saying this is the year of the trials.
Like right.
People will be preparing for the trials. Nogi season is usually in the. I believe it's usually in the middle of the year or something. I don't remember. I think it's whenever Nogi Worlds is. But this year it's going to be different. So, all right,
guys. So there you go, Coach Ben. Thanks for your insight and your projections. So to you out there, the message is hop on a bike, climb a rock, watch what you eat, and bet on something. All right. Thanks for everything, Coach. Happy New Year to you too.
Jim.
Let's get back home before the Capitol and the whole world gets run down to the ground at this point. The Capitol is under siege.
So. Capitol's under siege. Buy Bitcoin.
Buy Bitcoin.
It's going up. I don't know why. But
buy crypto. There you go.
By the way, everybody, this year we're going to do a lot of updates on the previous shows. I know I want to definitely do an updated episode on the weight cutting episode that we did. There's some new research out. There's new stuff.
And you have some new posts on your Instagram.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of new stuff. I'm doing an update on my book. On weight cutting, so I'm definitely going to do a show on that. So if you can't afford the book or if you're too lazy, just listen to the show. Also, we're going to update. We had an episode on foot training. Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm on week 12 with the coach that I hired for it. Man, it's something. It's something. I want to definitely talk about that. How we can incorporate that into jiu-jitsu training. My experimentation there. And that. So just stay tuned. I hope to do a lot this year. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, Coach. Thank you, guys. Be safe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.